Today, beneath Mexico City, there was once a miracle 500 years ago, one of the largest cities in the world, yet built in the middle of a lake. Its people were not fishing in the water, they were building pyramids. And the inhabitants of this city demanded blood every day so that the sun would not die. The Aztecs, in just 200 years, they built an empire from nothing, and in only 2 years, it vanished. Are you ready? Because this story begins with a legend, an eagle hunting a serpent. August 1250. In the arid lands of northern Mexico, a tribe emerges from a mysterious place called Aztlan. They call themselves Mexica, hunter-gatherers, warriors, and most importantly, homeless. For centuries they migrated. Everywhere doors were slammed in their faces. Why? Because these men simply did not want peace. The war god Huitzilopochtli had told them, "You are the chosen people, but there is no paradise without bloodshed." In 1248, they settled on Chapultepec Hill, but their neighbors didn't like them. They were driven out. They became mercenaries. They fought whoever they had to fight, not for money, but to survive. In 1325, a miracle happened. On a swampy island in the middle of Lake Texcoco, they saw an eagle with a snake in its beak, right on top of a cactus. They had been waiting for this sign. This would be Tenochtitlan, the heart of present-day Mexico City. Imagine 400,000 people living in the middle of a lake, more populous than some of Europe's largest cities. But how? Chinampas, floating gardens, artificial islands made of layers of reeds and mud, not for agriculture, but for the city. They filled in the lake, but the lake fed them. 16 kilometers of aqueducts bringing water from the Sierra Madre Mountains, razor-sharp streets, 4 main gates, and in the center, Templo Mayor, a 45-meter-high twin temple, one to the war god Huitzilopochtli, the other to the rain god. But the craziest part, when the Spaniards first arrived, they said, "It's more beautiful than Venice Hernan Courts." And a letter to King Charles wrote, "This city doesn't seem real." Now we come to the really interesting part. Why did the Aztecs sacrifice so many people? Answer: cosmology. According to them, the sun died every day. Its rising was a battle. And to win this battle, blood was necessary. Human hearts. Food for the gods. But how was this ritual performed? The sacrificial animal was first carried ceremonially for 4 days. It was painted and adorned with feathers. On the last night, it was carried up the 114 steps of the Templo Mayor. At the top, 2 priests waited. One held it by the head, the other by the feet, and they laid it on the stone altar. An obsidian blade would be inserted below the rib cage, and the heart would be removed while it was still beating. The heart would be placed in a stone bowl and offered to the god. The body, it would be thrown down the stairs. Sometimes their heads were cooked and served to the nobility. It was an honor. But it wasn't just religious, it was political too. At the opening of the Templo Mayor in 1487, Emperor Quetzalcoatl sacrificed 20,000 captives. It lasted for days. Why so many? Because it was a display, a show of force, a message: don't oppose us. Their wars were not about land, but about people. They were called the Flower Wars, ritual wars, just for capturing prisoners. If an Aztec warrior captured 20 prisoners, he would join the Jaguar Corps. That was their Navy SEALs. 1428 was a turning point, the Tepanic War. The Aztecs rose up against the powerful city of Azcapotzalco, and they won, but not alone. Tenochtitlan, Texcoco, and Tlacopan, 3 cities, an alliance. Initially, they were equal, but the Aztecs were more ambitious. Indirect rule. Conquered cities retained their own kings and religions. The only condition: taxes, cocoa beans, cotton fabrics, feathers, gold. They flowed into Tenochtitlan every year. 400 to 500 city-states, 5 to 6 million people, 207,000 square kilometers. Tlatelolco Market, the world's largest open-air market. 60,000 people shopped there at the same time. There was even human trafficking. Slaves, servants, everything had a price. More than 200 gods, but there are 4 great ones. Huitzilopochtli, the left-handed hummingbird, war and sun, protector of Tenochtitlan, a blue black-faced feathered warrior. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, light, wisdom, art. He gave humanity corn, the calendar, and writing, and he was against human sacrifice. The Aztecs' favorite irony: they worshipped him, but they continued to sacrifice. Tezcatlipoca, the smoky mirror, night, magic, prophecy. He has an obsidian mirror that sees the future, the invisible god. Tlaloc Rain, with his protruding teeth, his jaguar mask, the god of agriculture. Child sacrifices to him because his tears were rain. February 18, 1519, Hernan courts landed with wu-eyed men, horses, dogs, artillery. But his most dangerous weapon wasn't smallpox, it was diplomacy. The Aztecs had many enemies. The people of Tlaxcala had never submitted. Courts formed an alliance with them, thousands of native warriors. Now this is not just a Spanish invasion, but a civil war. November 8, 1519, courts entered Tenochtitlan. Moctezuma thought him a god. The return of Quetzalcoatl, golden gifts, jewels. But courts wanted gold, and more. June 1520, Moctezuma died. Who killed him? It's still debated, but the city revolted. The Spaniards fled. La Noche Triste, the sad night. Half of them died, but they returned. August 13th, 1521. 75 days of siege, famine, smallpox. 25% to 50% of the population died. The last emperor, Cuauhtémoc, was captured. Tenochtitlan fell. Tenochtitlan lies beneath Mexico City today. The Templo Mayor was rediscovered in 1978. Something new emerges with every excavation. But weren't the Aztecs real? Mexico's name comes from Mexica, the eagle and snake on their flag. Chocolate, corn, tomatoes, avocados, they all come from them. They built an empire in 200 years. It was gone in 2 years. But 500 years later, we're still talking about it. That's real power.